In 1972, a machinist in Akron, Ohio, raised 4 children on one paycheck, owned his house outright before he turned 55, and never once in his life borrowed money to buy a car. He was not wealthy. On his own street, he was unremarkable. Half the men on that block had done the same thing. Today, 2 people earning 6 figures between them can feel broke by the 20th of the month. Something changed, and it was not only prices. A woman in Tennessee who retired on Social Security and a small pension put $9,000 into savings last year, on an income most people would call impossible. She was not doing anything clever. She was doing what her mother did in the order her mother did it, without ever calling it a strategy. Here is what nobody explains. Somewhere in the last 40 years, 100 small things that used to be free or nearly free got quietly replaced with something you pay for every month, and the replacement happened so gradually that most people never noticed it happening. The bottle replaced the bar, the dryer replaced the line, the subscription replaced the thing you owned. Each swap was small. Together, they are the difference between a paycheck that stretches and one that does not. This is not about clipping coupons or eating rice in the dark. Nothing on this list requires you to be cold, hungry, or embarrassed. Every one of them was standard practice in an ordinary American household inside living memory. Number 6 takes about 20 minutes of one Saturday and puts roughly $41 back in your pocket every month for the rest of your life. And number 1, the habit that Akron machinist built his whole balance sheet on, is worth more than the other 12 combined at the low end. Hit subscribe before we start, because this is the raise nobody has to approve. 13 habits. I'm going to give you the arithmetic on every single one as we go, so you can check the total yourself instead of taking my word for it. Let's count down. Number 13, the bar of soap and the last of the bottle. For most of American history, soap was something a household made, rendered from tallow and wood ash in a kettle out back. And even after it was bought rather than made, it came as a bar and it lasted. The bottle is recent. Body wash did not exist in most American bathrooms before the 1990s. A bottle of body wash runs $5 or $6 and disappears in 2 weeks. It is mostly water that you paid to have shipped across the country. A bar of soap costs under $1, lasts twice as long, and does precisely the same job. The same arithmetic runs through every consumable in the house. A splash of water swirled in the shampoo bottle gets you 3 more washes. The ketchup stored upside down empties. The lotion tube cut open with scissors gives up another week. Marketers have a word for the product you cannot squeeze out, and they count on you throwing it away. A household in suburban Ohio switched back to bars and started emptying containers properly. Their drugstore spending fell by about $18 a month, which they did not notice at all until they looked at the statement. $18. It feels far too small to matter. That is exactly why it works. Running total, $18 a month. Number 12, the clothesline. Every American backyard had one until roughly 1960. The electric dryer went from a luxury to a fixture inside a single generation, and almost nobody stopped to ask what it cost to run. The dryer is one of the hungriest machines in the house, second only to the water heater. Every load costs money, and the heat is quietly destroying your clothes while it works. That gray lint you pull out of the trap is your shirts and towels, wearing away thread by thread. You do not have to go all the way back. Hang half your loads and run the dryer on the rest, and the bill drops noticeably. A $12 drying rack in the corner of a spare room does the same job as a line in the yard in any apartment in any weather. A family of 4 in central Pennsylvania started line drying everything except towels and work clothes. Their electric bill fell about $22 a month, and the wife noticed something she had not expected. Her good shirts stopped fading. Free sunshine used to do the whole job. It still will. Running total, $40 a month. Number 11, the library card. The free public library is close to an American invention, and it was built deliberately. Andrew Carnegie funded more than 1,600 of them across this country on the specific theory that a working man should be able to educate himself without permission from anyone. Most people carry a card and use it for nothing. What sits behind it now is not just books. It is audiobooks, films, streaming services the library pays for on your behalf, magazine subscriptions, museum passes, and in a growing number of towns, a tool library where you borrow the drill instead of buying it. Add up what a household actually spends on entertainment, it consumes once and never touches again. The books read a single time. The film rented for an evening, the magazine that arrives, gets glanced at, and goes in the recycling. A couple in Michigan canceled 2 streaming services and stopped buying books outright, borrowing everything through the library instead. About $31 a month for something their taxes already paid for. It is the only line on this list where the money was already spent and you were simply not collecting. Running total, $71 a month. Number 10. Cutting hair at home. Every American household kept a set of clippers and a comb. The barbershop was a place a man went for a shave and the conversation, not because the job could not be done at his own kitchen table by his own wife. A men's haircut now runs $25 to $40 before the tip, and a man who needs one every 3 weeks is looking at $400 to $600 a year. For a family with 2 or 3 boys, the number turns genuinely serious. A decent set of clippers costs about $30 once. The learning curve is real and it is short. The first one will be bad, the 4th one will be fine, and nobody will notice by the 6th. A household in rural Georgia with 3 sons stopped going to the barber entirely. $38 a month, and the clippers paid for themselves before the end of the first month. Nobody is going to compliment you on the savings. That is not what this is for. Running total $109 a month. Number 9. Making your own cleaning supplies. Walk down the cleaning aisle and count the bottles. 40 different products, each one promising to solve a slightly different problem, most of them the same 3 ingredients with different dye and different scent. That aisle did not exist in 1950. A household kept vinegar, baking soda, borax, and a bar of soap and cleaned an entire house with them. White vinegar cuts grease, dissolves mineral scale, and cleanses glass better than anything sold in a spray bottle. Baking soda scours without scratching. Together they handle the overwhelming majority of what a house needs. There are exceptions, and it is worth being honest about them. You still want a real disinfectant for a cutting board that met raw chicken. That is 1 product, not 40. The other half of the saving is one nobody counts. You stop buying the paper towel by the case because a stack of cut-up, worn-out shirts does the same work and goes in the wash afterwards. That was standard in every kitchen in this country for 200 years, and it is the single easiest thing on this entire list to start doing today. A household outside Sacramento cut their cleaning aisle spending to vinegar in gallons and baking soda in bulk. About $26 a month, and the spray bottles they refill are the ones they already owned. Running total $135 a month. Stop and look at what those 5 have in common, because it is not thrift. Not one of them is a sacrifice. You are not going without soap, clean clothes, entertainment, a haircut, or a clean house. You have exactly the thing you had before. What changed is that in each case, somewhere in the last few decades, something you owned or did was replaced by something you rent by the month. The bar became the bottle. The line became the machine. The book you borrowed became the subscription. The clippers in the drawer became an appointment. Every single one of those swaps was sold as convenience, and every single one of them was. That part was not a lie. What went unmentioned is that convenience is not purchased once. It is purchased again on the 1st of every month, forever, and it never appears as a decision because you never decided again after the first time. That is why this money is invisible. It does not leave in a lump you would notice. It leaves in a stream you set up years ago and stopped seeing. The next 5 are bigger and they work the same way. Number 8. Store brands. The Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company was selling its own label in American stores in the 1860s. Private label is not a modern compromise. It is older than most of the brands people are loyal to. Here is the part the industry does not advertise. A large share of store brand food is made in the same plants, on the same lines, to the same specification as the name brand sitting beside it. Different label, frequently identical product. The gap runs 25 to 40% on most of the grocery list. Canned vegetables, flour, sugar, pasta, rice, frozen produce, dairy, cleaning goods, over-the-counter medicine where the active ingredient is required by law to be identical. Be selective and honest about it. There are a handful of things where the name brand is genuinely better and you will find them fast. Buy those. Switch everything else. A family of 4 in Missouri switched everything except 3 items they genuinely preferred. $92 a month off a grocery bill that fed the same people the same meals. Running total, $227 a month. Number 7. Coffee made at home. The percolator sat on the stove in every American kitchen. Coffee out was a diner thing, a nickel, and it came with a meal. The idea of buying a single cup on the way to work daily as a routine expense would have struck a household in 1960 as something close to lunacy. A shop drink now runs $5 to $7. One a workday is over $100 a month. 2 people doing it is a car payment. Coffee at home costs somewhere between 20 and 50 cents a cup, and a bag of decent beans, ground fresh, will beat most of what you are standing in line for. Nobody has to quit entirely, and the people who try usually fail by Thursday. Make it the exception. Weekday mornings at home, Saturday out with somebody, and you keep the ritual and lose the bill. An office worker in Denver moved to the home pot on weekdays only. $74 a month and about 15 minutes back in every morning. Running total $301 a month. Number 6. The garden strip. Here is the 20 minutes I promised you. In 1944, Victory Gardens grew somewhere around 40% of all fresh vegetables consumed in the United States. 20 million households. Not farms, backyards, window boxes, vacant lots, and strips of dirt beside the garage. Forget the vegetable garden for a moment, because the vegetable garden is work and most people quit. Start with herbs. Basil, parsley, thyme, rosemary, mint, chives. A plastic clamshell of fresh herbs costs $3 or $4 and rots in the drawer inside a week. The same plant costs about $3 once and produces for months. A household that cooks regularly runs through 8 or 10 of those packages a month without thinking about it. 6 pots on a sunny windowsill or a strip beside the back step replaces essentially all of it. A retired couple in North Carolina put in 6 herb pots on a Saturday afternoon. $41 a month on 20 minutes of work and about $18 of soil and seedlings. If you want to go further later, tomatoes and beans are the next step. But the herbs alone pay. Running total, $342 a month. Number 5. Buying clothes used. For most of American history, clothing was expensive and labor was cheap, which is why clothes were mended, turned, handed down, and remade until they were rags, and then the rag man bought the rags. Nothing about a garment was disposable. Now the labor is cheap, and the clothes are too, and the result is an enormous secondhand supply of things barely worn. Thrift stores, church sales, estate sales, and online resale are full of solid clothing that somebody bought wore twice, and gave away. The savings are largest exactly where the spending is worst. Children outgrow things before they wear them out. Work clothes and coats, which cost the most new, are the easiest things to find nearly new secondhand. There is one rule worth keeping because it is where people go wrong. Buy secondhand the way you would buy new. A thing you did not need at $40 is not a bargain at $4. The savings only exist if you are going to buy the item anyway. A family in Indiana with 2 growing children moved to secondhand for everything except shoes and underwear. $48 a month averaged across the year, and the children did not notice or care. Running total, $390 a month. Number 4. Buying staples in bulk once a month. The general store sold from the barrel. Flour, sugar, beans, rice, salt, coffee, all of it scooped and weighed, and a household bought in quantities that lasted because the trip to town was not something you made on a whim. 2 things happen when you buy the same way. The per unit price on staples bought in quantity runs 20 to 50% below the small package. And you stop making the small trips. That second part is the one people underestimate. The quick run for one missing item is where a grocery budget actually dies. Nobody leaves that store with one item. The average unplanned trip adds $15 to $30 of things nobody intended to buy, and a household making 8 of those a month is losing more to the trips than to the prices. A household in Texas moved to one large monthly shop with a stocked pantry and a written list. $63 a month, and most of it came from the trips that stopped happening rather than the prices themselves. Running total, $453 a month. Here is the deeper thing, and it took me a long time to see it properly. The difference between a household that is comfortable and a household that is drowning is very often not income. 2 families on the same street, earning within a few $1,000s of each other, can be living in completely different financial worlds. And the reason is almost never that one of them found extra money. It is the direction the money is pointed. In one house, most of what goes out was decided this week by the people who live there. In the other, most of what goes out was decided years ago by somebody who is no longer in the conversation, and it leaves automatically on the first of the month whether anyone thinks about it or not. That is what all 13 of these are underneath. None of them is really about soap or coffee or herbs. Every one of them takes a decision that got made once, quietly, in somebody else's favor, and hands it back to you. Which is why the last 3 are worth more than the 10 before them put together. They are where the biggest decisions were handed away. Number 3. Cooking as the default. This one barely needs history. Every meal an American household ate was cooked in that household by somebody in it, and eating out was something that happened a handful of times a year and got remembered afterwards. A restaurant meal costs 3 to 5 times what the same food costs made at home. Delivery is worse because the menu is marked up before the delivery fee, the service fee, and the tip go on top of it. The obstacle is never the cost, and it is never the skill. It is the 6 o'clock problem, you are tired, there is nothing thawed, and the phone is right there. Every household that fixed this fixed it the same way, and it is not willpower. It is Sunday. One afternoon of cooking in quantity, a few things portioned in the freezer, and 6 o'clock stops being a decision. Do not aim for perfect. A household that eats out 4 times a week and gets it down to 1 has captured almost all of the money. A working couple in Illinois moved from ordering 4 or 5 nights a week to cooking most nights with one deliberate meal out on Fridays. $228 a month, and they kept the night they actually enjoyed, running total $681 a month. Number 2. Fixing it before replacing it. Every American town had a repair economy. A shoe repair shop, a small engine man, a radio and television repair counter, somebody who sharpened blades. Things were built to be opened, and the assumption was that a broken object was a repairable object. Two habits sit inside this one, and the smaller of them is the repairs. A running toilet wastes water continuously, and the part costs a few dollars. A dryer that takes 3 cycles usually has a blocked vent, not a dead motor. A dishwasher that stopped draining has a filter that has never been cleaned. Most household failures are one cheap part and a video. The larger habit is maintenance, and it is the one that actually pays. A furnace filter changed on schedule, gutters cleared twice a year, oil changed on time. Every one of those is a small, boring expense that prevents an enormous one. A homeowner in Minnesota started doing basic repairs and keeping a maintenance calendar. $84 a month averaged across 3 years, and that number excludes the water heater that did not fail. Running total, $765 a month. Number 1. The car you already own. This is the habit that Akron machinists built everything else on, and it is the single largest number on this list. He bought used, he maintained it obsessively, and he drove it until it could not be kept alive any longer. Then he did it again. Across 50 years of working life, he never once carried a car payment, and he never thought of that as a sacrifice, because on his street in 1972, almost nobody did. The average new car payment in this country now runs well past $700 a month, and the average household holds a vehicle for about half as long as it could. A car is the second largest purchase most people ever make, and the only one guaranteed to be worth less every year they own it. A vehicle bought used at 3 or 4 years old has already taken the worst of the depreciation on somebody else's money. Maintained properly, most of them will run past 200,000 miles. The years after the loan is paid are the cheapest transportation you will ever have in your life, and they are exactly the years most households trade the car in. Keeping a paid-off vehicle 3 years longer instead of replacing it and covering maintenance out of pocket works out to somewhere around $265 a month against a household that trades on the usual cycle. Conservatively, the machinist did not have a system. He had one rule, and he never broke it. Never borrow money for something that is worth less every year you own it. Running total, $1,030 a month. There it is, $1,030, 13 habits, and not one of them requires you to earn another cent. Check the arithmetic. That is the point of doing it out loud. Some of these will not fit your household, and you should throw those out. A man with no yard cannot line dry, and somebody who already cooks every night has nothing to gain from number 3. Take the ones that fit, and the number is still large. But here is what I actually want you to notice. Every one of these was ordinary. Not clever, not extreme, not a sacrifice. This is simply how an American household ran inside the lifetime of people who are still alive, and the reason it feels like a discipline now is that we spent 40 years being sold the alternative one small swap at a time. Your grandparents were not more disciplined than you. They just never got the offer. If that is the part that interests you, watch the video on your screen next. 13 ways American families built real wealth on a single paycheck in an era when one income was expected to do all of it, and every one of those methods still works.